Hey guys, welcome back and thanks for tuning in again. So we just wrapped up another trip to Front Sight, me and Mrs. Scout here.
Hello.
I did the 2-day tactical handgun and Mrs. Scout did the 2-day skill builder for handgun. And we wanted to do a quick recap, sort of talk about the gear that Mrs. Scout used, as well as a recap and sort of impressions of the course. Because the skill builder is very different from the 4-day handgun, although it's supposed to cover everything that the 4-day handgun covers and end with the test from the 4-day handgun class. But it's different in some ways, and you kind of expressed a lot of that to me earlier, so I thought it'd be good for you to express that to the audience and kind of explain that. But before we do that, let's get into just the gear that you used. Now, the gun you shot was?
The Smith & Wesson M&P
9, which was the same thing you used the last time we came down. You're pretty familiar with it?
Yeah, it's a great gun, very easy to use. In fact, the person that I was partnered up with for the class kept asking me about it and like, that gun's so nice, and was like really jealous of some of the features on it. So,
in particular, what?
Like how if you slam the magazine in, then the slide automatically goes forward, so I don't have to spend that extra split second racking it.
Yeah. Gives you slight advantage.
Yeah, it does, because you need that split second for the test.
True. Now, I have not yet gotten into an M&P 2.0. I may at some point. However, the M&P is still working great. It's had like 4 or 5 different trips down here to Front Sight. You got a little moth above you.
I know.
And your brothers shot it.
Yep.
I've shot it. You've shot it. And it's probably got, what, a couple of thousand at least rounds through it at this point. Runs fantastic still.
Yeah.
Some of the magazines have gotten kind of loose in the springs, but that only makes them really easy to load, and they're not failing.
No, and that's great for Front Sight to have magazines that are easy to load, because you are loading all day long. Yeah.
As far as gear, the belt you use, and I'll kind of recap some of this since I know you don't spend a lot of time talking gear.
Yeah.
The belt you used was the 511 double duty belt. The holster was just a Blackhawk Serpa. Now, they say that Front Sight says no to Serpas, but all you got to do is just defeat the retention with a little bit of cardboard jammed in there, and it works fine, and they're happy to have it. We also used a little lubricant, the name of which is escaping me right now, but I'm going to include that in my gear check video, so stick around for that. A lubricant that went on the inside of the holster. How did that work out for you?
It worked great. And at first I was like, I just don't see what the point is of this, because I feel like it's going to come out fine.
Yeah.
But again, my partner had problems with his holster.
Yeah.
And in fact, his holster was leaving, like it was coming off onto his gun.
Oh, interesting.
So, yeah. And I was like, you need some spray for that holster, but I don't know what it's called. It's like Pam for your holster.
Yeah, again, stick around for my recap video. I'm going to do a gear check and show you all the gear I use, and I'll talk about that lubricant as well as all the other stuff I used. But in addition to that, I think you used Blackhawk double mag pouch, and then just the Cabela's pants that you had before. Don't recall the model of them.
Yeah.
And just some of your general sports gear for staying covered in the sun and for sweat wicking and all that stuff. So gear hasn't really changed much for Mrs. Scout. In fact, go to our 4-day recap video and you'll see everything she used is pretty much identical.
Yep.
So that just speaks to the fact that it all worked fine. You know, you can definitely spend a lot more money on a better belt, on better holsters, on better everything. But if it works, it works. If it gets you through the class with no problems.
Yeah, and really the key is you need to be comfortable. You have to have stuff that you're familiar with and stuff that you can move around with quickly. If you want to graduate from your class, you have to have concealment, and so you need to have some kind of concealment that you're comfortable with and that you know you can move.
Yeah.
That's a big part of the class, is being able to move your concealment quickly.
Yeah.
So that you can get to the next step, because you literally have a second, or maybe if you're lucky 2 seconds to get something done. And so you can't get stuff just because it's fancy.
Exactly.
Get stuff that you know you can use.
Exactly. If you feel like you got to update your gear and get the most high tech, most the stuff that everybody's going to drool over, just use stuff that works for you. Take it to the range a couple of times, make sure that it all works and it's solid, and just use that. It was 450 rounds, I think, for the class.
Yeah.
So not an insane amount of rounds, but in 2 days, it's a fair bit of loading, a fair
Yeah.
bit of shooting. But again, it's not like you're not going through 2,000 rounds or something, so you don't need like ultra durable gear and stuff that's like, what was it, like $25 for the holster, $20 for the mag pouch,
Yeah.
and then maybe $20 for the belt. Not expensive stuff, but it all worked fine. So
Yep.
that's basically it for the gear. And then the ammo I think that you used was Blazer Brass, 124 grain, and you didn't have any failures with it,
Nope.
right? Perfect. Let's get on to the class and kind of talk about how that was and whether you felt like it's worth jumping into for folks that are interested in it and all that. Now, the main reason she did the skill builder is because I had already registered for the 2-day tactical handgun. Mrs. Scout said, you know what, I think I can get that time off and go with you. I think it'd be a fun trip. I'm always for that. So we looked at what class she could get into, and while I was down for this class, and the 2-day skill builder was
Yeah.
it. That was the class that she could get into. So that's the primary reason you were in it.
Yep.
So talk about your experience in the class, sort of how it compared to the 4-day and so forth.
Okay. So the 4-day class is, it's like your introductory handgun class. So you can literally have never shot a gun and show up, take the 4-day class, and they walk you through every single thing. You follow the instructions and you can pass the test. Like it's that elementary, basically. So it's a really great class and I loved it, and there's lots of fun stuff thrown in there. The 2-day class is like the, it's like not even Cliff Notes. It's like an accelerated 4-day class.
Okay.
Where like most of the fun stuff is gone. It's literally you're drilling all day long. So the first day, they tell you you're not trapped there, that you can go to the bathroom if you need to. But as soon as we had the opening class and then we separate and go to our ranges, I literally could not move from my range until it was lunchtime. And,
And by that you mean activities never stopped. There was
Yeah.
never, okay, if you need a break, go take a break. There was none of that.
So, because it's like if you left, then you would have missed something.
Yeah.
And that morning portion was it was basically like the first 2 days of the 4-day class in 2 hours. So it's like you're reviewing everything from the beginning of the 4-day in this time frame. And if you miss it, then you're trying to play catch up. So that was really hard, just to be like, oh, okay, I got to get my brain completely focused on this and nothing else. Like I can't even think about going to the bathroom. There's no like, oh, let me check my phone real quick. No, there's no time for anything. All you're doing is loading magazines and
getting back on the line.
Yeah, because you're either on the line or you're coaching your partner that's on the line.
Yeah.
Especially for that first day, you are helping each other the whole time to remember all of the steps. So the afternoon was pretty much the same, where there's no like set break time.
Yeah.
There's not like you guys have 15 minutes, go do whatever.
Yeah.
It's like we're doing this, we're doing this, we're doing this. So the first day, I think I probably used over 200 rounds for sure.
Okay.
And we did a ton of shooting. Now a big difference in the 2-day versus the 4-day is we're on the rotating targets.
Yeah.
The moving targets.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that's huge because in the 4-day it's just a timed test where it's like you get the beep and you have to get your 2 shots off before the beep goes again, and then the target's still sitting there. So it's like if it beeps and you shoot, then it counts. But with a moving target,
once it turns,
once
you don't
it
have
starts
an opportunity
turning,
to shoot anymore.
I mean, I still shot.
Yeah.
And I feel like I have like a trademark shot now because I wanted to get my shots off.
Right.
And I'm like, if I if I can get it on there, then it counts,
Yeah.
And so even while the target is turning, I still would get a shot off, and
it would like rip the paper sideways.
It was like a running joke for some of us, because like the first couple times I did it, and you could see it entering the target and then ripping through and coming back out.
Yeah.
And then and we were like, oh my gosh, this is so funny. And then the second day I did it again, where it just like completely demolished the whole target. And
That's awesome.
I was like, oh, they want you to go tape up your target after it. I was like, okay.
It's like, I'm going to need the whole roll
and I'm
to
like,
get this back together.
I think I can do it. And he's like, we're just going to replace your target. Like, okay, you're welcome.
That's awesome.
So anyways, so that is, to me, that was a huge, huge difference. The fact that you have like almost no break time, and that you are constantly shooting or coaching. And it's not like it's your job to coach your partner.
Right.
But that helps you reinforce what you need to know.
Yeah, when you teach, you learn twice. So coaching helps you learn.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, and then second day, you are literally just shooting. In the morning alone, we went through 250 rounds.
Wow.
So I was regretting not having the, what's that thing called?
Oh yeah, the speed loader.
Yeah.
I bought one of those little assisting loading things, and we tried that out when we went shooting a weekend or two ago.
And it's awesome.
But we completely forgot to throw it in the range bag on the way out the door. So, shoot.
Yeah. I mean, it was fine since it was only 2 days. I mean, like, my thumb was getting kind of tired of pushing down.
Yeah.
But, it would have been nice to have that and just be able to speed load it.
Yeah.
But I don't think that that's like a deal breaker.
Yeah. So just talking more about, in general, about the experience of taking a 2-day, if you had taken a 4-day before, but you want a DG, and you're looking at taking that the skill builder, you're like, I'll just run down for a skill builder because it's only 2 days and I've got 2 days of vacation I can take. Thinking, is there any sort of downside to that where you're like, oh my gosh, this sucks compared to the 4-day, or is it worth taking the 4-day instead of jumping down for a 2-day?
I think you should not take this class unless you've been practicing for it.
Okay.
So if you took the 4-day, but it's been 2 years, take another 4-day. Unless you took the 4-day and you DG'd or even graduated and you go shooting
like every weekend or something.
Yeah, or even once a month, and you're practicing drills.
Yeah, okay.
Because target shooting is not going to prepare you for this. If you want to pass the test, it's the drills that you have to practice.
Practice to the test.
Yes.
Okay.
The time constraints is where you have sort of the mental battle, and you kind of get wrapped up in the, I'm going to run out of time. And so then you get like, and you can't. You have to take your time. So I was doing different things to help pace myself, like counting like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, something like that, just to slow my pace down to make sure that I did all of the motions correctly. Okay. That's especially relevant for when you're doing the malfunctions or the tactical reload or the emergency reload. You have to be able to take, it's like you're not taking your time, you're just using your time efficiently and getting the work done.
Yeah.
So I think if you practice for the test, if you are consistent in your malfunctions, your controlled pair, under time pressure, even if you just dry practice those things. I don't think you have to actually go out and shoot.
I agree.
Just dry practice those things, then the 2-day class would be great.
Okay.
But for somebody like me who is just like hey, I'll go shooting type of a person, like this isn't...
It's not your thing.
It's not my passion.
Yeah.
I'm not like, woo, yes, let's go do it.
Yeah. Finally, we get to go shooting again.
Yeah, gosh, I've been waiting for this.
It's been 2 days. I really want to go again.
Yeah. That's, So for somebody like me, the 2-day is great to come down and get a refresher. And maybe for some people, it kind of lights the fire of, I really should be practicing this. Or I want to get this test done and I want to do well on it for me. Because the reality is nobody else knows how you did on your test.
Yeah.
And really nobody else cares.
True.
So, and you know, it's not like it comes up in conversation with people like, hey,
not at all.
I DG'd at front sight.
All that really all that really matters for is getting into the next class.
Yeah.
If you want to get into tactical handgun, you need the distinguished graduate. At least that's how the program has been, and I think they're changing a few things. We might talk about that a little bit in a future video, but that's kind of been the deal. Like, you got to get the DG in order to move on. And it also says something about your skill level, you know, because really what this all boils down to is whether you get a graduate, a distinguished graduate, or you just get through the class. All that really matters is that you're working on those skills.
Right.
And so it is a skill builder. That's the primary focus of it. You can get a DG to move on, or you can just go down there, work on those skills. As frustrating as it can be, and you told me it was a frustrating class a lot of the time.
Yeah.
That even with all that frustration, if you look at it and say, well, what I'm taking away from this is just the new muscle memory, or the improved muscle memory, the refreshed muscle memory, and, you know, just the refresher, generally speaking. It can be hard to do all that on your own at a range. When you have a coach, when you have, you know, a class that you're a part of, there are definitely some things that you learn there that you can't learn on your own. So it's probably worth it from that perspective, but I think what your thought was at the end of this is you probably prefer to do a 4-day again.
Yeah. It's hard because a 4-day, it really is a 6-day, because
for travel.
You're getting here and you're getting prepared for it, and then you're coming down and then going home.
Yeah.
So it is so time consuming.
It really is.
And that is a major drawback.
Yep.
You have to really commit to it and make all these arrangements to make it happen.
Yep.
So a 2-day is like, yes, I'm all over this. I can totally get those days. And I think it would be great for a lot of people. And I'm not saying I would never do it again. I don't regret coming. It was super frustrating at many times. Like, you know, I feel like they just expect you to know and be proficient at so much for this class.
So if there's anything that you're a little forgetful about, or whatever, or you're just not quite as proficient at, there's just not a lot of time for you.
There's no hand-holding here. There's no, okay, let me get you up to speed here. It's like, okay, go again, do it again. And you just have to keep on going. So, you know, it can be frustrating, and you have to be able to push that aside and just say, okay, that round sucked. Now I'm gonna try again, and this is all new, and you know, and you just keep on going, because there are little things that are beneficial, that are crucial to your gun handling knowledge that you gain the whole way. I mean, I could have walked away and been like, it doesn't matter, nobody cares how I do on this thing, but
you brought your skills up a notch from where they were. And in the end, that's all that really matters.
And I got a certificate.
Good job.
And they said, it's not a participation trophy. And then I'm like, yes, it is. But they don't give you that certificate for the 4-day.
Oh, okay, cool.
So it is a big deal to go to the 2-day class, and they know it's a big deal. They know it's exhausting mentally and physically. And they kind of exhaust you on purpose, so that when you test, you are fatigued and you have to be able to focus and get it done.
That's one thing. One last thing we'll talk about as we wrap this up, that the 4-day has actually changed in their format, where the test happens at the beginning of the 4th day. So before lunch, you're done with your test. And then the rest of the day is a little bit of shooting, a little bit of fun stuff, a little bit of man-on-man competition. But there's no, you know, stress until the very end of the day, and then finally you do the test, and then you find out how you did. After you're like exhausted and completely spent from all of it. Instead, they get you while you're still fairly fresh in the morning. They get it over with, which I think is a huge improvement for the 4-day, how they've changed that around, and I wish they'd done that. For the 2-day.
It was rough. I mean, spending the whole morning shooting. I mean, some people don't even shoot 250 rounds on a shooting outing.
Yeah, on an outing, yeah.
And we did that in the morning, then had lunch, and then came back and did another hour and a half of shooting, and then tested. So yeah, it was pretty rough. And I could tell there were several other people that were like, ugh. And they're like, when do we get to the fun stuff? And
not in that class.
Yeah, and that's
come to the 2-day tactical. That's when you get to the really fun stuff.
So
and by the way, stick around for my recap on the 2-day tactical, or maybe I've already posted this by now. I'm actually not sure what order I'll be posting these videos in, but we're shooting this one first. But yeah, thanks guys so much for watching. This has been kind of our recap of the 2-day skill builder for front sight. We come down to front sight, we have memberships here. I know a lot of you guys have heard and said things and whatever about front sight, and it's, you know, they admit that this is a place for newer shooters and generally speaking civilian shooters. Pro shooters, people who do competition, and that's kind of their bag, that's kind of their bread and butter, shooting all day long. It's like front sight doesn't have much to offer you, it really doesn't. But if you are a civilian and you shoot periodically on, you know, every couple of months or something for some folks, this is a good place to come, because the facilities are terrific, the instructors are really good, and the material covered is very practical stuff, basic stuff, but super practical at the same time. So again, we got more to say about front sight, and we'll do that in separate videos, but thanks so much for tuning in for this one. I'm Late Boy Scout.
And I'm Mrs. Scout.
We'll see you guys later.
Bye.